Hello everybody, E3 is officially over, so I figured it would be a good time for me to wrap up my thoughts on everything that came out, because there's a lot of good information here. And if you were doing the whole thing where you were following us on Twitter and watching that, you know most of my thoughts already, as I was reacting to things being announced and shown off live during all the press conferences. But there's information that surfaced, you know, during the actual show floor section of E3 where people were checking things out and whatnot. So I'm just going to jump right into it because we got a lot to talk about here. But the first thing we need to talk about, because it is the most relevant to the channel, is that SWTOR is getting a new expansion. The expansion was pretty much known about before the announcement. However, details of it really weren't. And there's some information here that has me just directly saying I'm going to come back to Star Wars, if not just to check out this expansion, because I am super curious. So what they're doing is they're releasing the expansion called Knights of the Fallen Empire. That is important to know. I'll come back to that in a second, to the naming of that. But it's a single player kind of like story focused thing that they're doing. It seems like they realized that people really just wanted a Knights of the Old Republic 3, right? And that's why it is super intentionally named Knights of the Fallen Empire, because it evokes memories of that instantly. The people who have maybe tried out SWTOR or never did because they heard that it wasn't really KOTOR 3 like what you wanted. It seems like they looked at it and went, you know what, let's just make a ton of single player story content. Let's do it that way. Now there's details coming out, very it's like a slow drizzle of information, but the level cap is getting increased. You can make a level 60 character. It seems like whatever this new thing is, it may not be focused on the individual class stories, but on a new character that you're going to make story, which if that is the case, then I believe that is super smart, because it is really hard to write individual class stories, as we have mentioned in our previous Star Wars content. I mean, there's a lot of story to do. That's 8 classes to do. But if they're just doing something new and it's one story that they can focus on, they will kill it. You know, that's going to be really, really good for them. And, you know, congratulations to the Star Wars team for having the balls to do something completely different than what they have been doing. And I commend them on that, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited to try out the story. I'm excited to play through this expansion and just see all the new stuff that they're adding. In general, the trailer for it was super good, and I will be coming back to Star Wars, and I probably will be doing many videos on this, because it's important that an MMO realizes that, you know, let's change it up a bit. And I think that needs to be awarded with my time and effort into it. Plus, you know, come to mention, it's, you know, Star Wars is still, like, all of our Star Wars videos are still our, like, top grossing videos on the channel. They're slowly being overtaken by other things that we're making, but on, like, the top 20 videos that I still make money off of, Star Wars is within, you know, at least 10 of those videos. So it's good to be able to come back to the game, not for the money's sake, but to be able to be like, you know what, obviously we have an audience on the channel that still likes this stuff, and I want to give that audience more of that stuff. So let's move on then. So Battlefront is another Star Wars game that's coming out this year, and that just it looks really good. It's a really good looking game. I talked about how they're doing the graphical fidelity of it in one of the Dragon Age videos. I kind of mentioned it a bit. Basically, they're using a technique where they take it's the same thing that Vanishing of Ethan Carter did, where they take pictures of environments like trees and rocks and stuff, and they turn that into stuff like in games. So that's why it looks so good. It's because it's actually based off of an actual photo of an object that they're taking, because they went to the locations that the movies were filmed, and they, you know, take pictures of the environment there. So that's why it looks really good. That's why it looks like the movies do, and I'm just really looking forward to it. There's a beta coming out, and I'll probably do videos on it. You could guarantee I'm going to do a video on Battlefront, because I'm super excited for it. Then we got a trailer for Mass Effect Andromeda, which is the new Mass Effect game. There were already kind of details of the story that was leaked from one of the various surveys that went out. That wasn't supposed to get leaked, but it did. But we kind of already knew a little bit about the story. It's basically you're playing a character called the Pathfinder who's trying to find a new home for humanity. It takes place after Mass Effect 3. It just looks really good. It's running in the Frostbite engine like Dragon Age is, except now they've had some time to kind of mess with it and tweak it. So it'll probably look a lot better. And in fact, I'm just stupid excited for it. It's a Mass Effect game. It's going to be good, right? There's nothing else. We're going to be doing Mass Effect on the channel. That's just what's going to happen. It's another BioWare game. You know me, I love my RPGs. Speaking of RPGs, Fallout 4 had been announced, but now we actually got some real good information on it. And in fact, I think Bethesda, for their first ever press conference, did an incredibly good job opening it up, E3, and I've never really gotten into Fallout before. I tried Fallout 3 and played like 30 minutes of it. I tried out New Vegas and played 10 minutes of it. I just had never gotten into it. Heck, I even played Fallout 1 and 2 back in the day, and just same thing. Got like 30 minutes into it and just went, okay, I'm done. But Fallout 4 got me super excited about Fallout. So I decided to, because I have it, decided to get Fallout 3 back on my computer, installed a ton of mods, and I started playing through it, and I've put in a couple hours already, and I'm like, you know what? Why did I miss this? This is really good. This is like Skyrim with guns, is how Garrick put it to me over Twitter, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But I just really like it. I don't know why I never got into it before, but because of my lack of jumping onto it when it was popular, I'm finally getting around to it now, and I could pretty much safely say that we're going to be doing a Fallout 4 playthrough at the end of the year when it comes out. It just looks good. They just killed it this time around. I was mentioning that the graphical, like on the Twitter feed for the press conference, that the graphical fidelity seems kind of low, and I'll tell you what, after playing Fallout 3 and going back and watching that press conference again, I'm like, no, Fallout 4 looks fine, because Fallout 3 is not a pretty game. But what I can say is they are focusing on systems, making the systems really super complex and good in the game, and I'm okay with them kind of forgetting about the fidelity of the game a bit. As long as the base is good, that means that the modding will be really, really good. And I think as long as they focus on making good systems, the modders will focus on making the game look good, and I will install a ton of mods for Fallout 4. But we will be doing a playthrough of that when it comes out. Speaking of playthroughs when it comes out, Tomb Raider, the new one, is a timed Xbox exclusive, but it will be coming to everything else at a later date. We can assume that it won't be too much later, maybe a few months, I don't know, maybe hopefully not longer than 6 months. But I really liked the new Tomb Raider game and the reboot of it. In fact, I liked it so much that I plan on doing a playthrough of the first, the original remake of Tomb Raider, and then we'll be doing the new one when it comes out. So I'm gonna just kind of catch up, like what I did with Dragon Age, right? Except Tomb Raider will be a lot shorter of a series. So we'll do Tomb Raider, which I've played through 3 times already, so it should be pretty quick and good. And then we will do the new Tomb Raider when it comes out. It's just, I love those games. They are so good to me. I grew up on Tomb Raider. Even when the first game came out on PlayStation, my dad bought it and he told me, no, you can't play this. This is my game. This is my game. You don't play it. And I remember he went to work one day and I played through, and I got halfway through the game, and he came home and he was like, I can't believe you played my game. I wanted to play the game, and now you've spoiled things for me. And that was my first experience into spoiling something for somebody, and I felt really bad. So long story short, I'm really into Tomb Raider, and I can't wait to see the new game. It just looks good. Moving on, one of the themes in this year's E3 were that there were a lot of new IPs coming out, a lot of new games being made that had never been made before. In particular, Horizon Zero Dawn, which is on the PlayStation 4. I don't know if it'll remain a PlayStation 4 exclusive, but you could probably assume that it will, because it's made from the same team that did Killzone. Again, PlayStation 4 exclusive there. So this game just looks really good graphically and aesthetically, the way that they've chosen to create the world. I've heard it described as a post-apocalypse where the apocalypse has happened, vegetation has regrown over the world, and then life has now resprung up again. So it's kind of like in a weird phase where it's switched. How do I say this? It's switched the archetype on its head with nature versus machine, because suddenly the big stompy people who have the technology are usually humans hunting some type of monster. Well, now it's the other way around. It's the humans are having to hunt the machine. So the humans are the nature part of it, and the machines are like the overlords. And anyways, it's hard to describe, but it looks really good. And if it is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, maybe we'll consider getting a capture card, because that just looks like a good game. In fact, I want Garrick to probably cover more of the PlayStation stuff in the future. Him and I have already talked about that, so maybe that will be a him and me thing where we sit down and play through a game. In fact, we're going to be doing that with Arkham Knight when it comes out in just a few days. He'll be driving, I'll be doing the co-commentary with him, and I'll be watching him play. And I think we've come up with a better solution where the visual lag isn't there between him and I, so like we're actually viewing the game at the same time, which will make it a bit better. So this will be a first run at something like that, and if it turns out to be pretty good with Arkham Knight, then we'll probably do it on games like Horizon. Now, Sony also had a couple other really good things to announce. They finally announced that The Last Guardian is actually a thing that's coming. This is a game they showed a long time ago, and people were stupid excited for it, from people who made Shadow of the Colossus and all that, and it's finally coming. In fact, not only is that game that has been long sought after for the past like 5 years finally coming, but Final Fantasy VII isn't getting an HD remake, it's just getting a remake. They're remaking Final Fantasy VII, and I'm stupid excited for that. In fact, I would say that was people's most memorable moment of the show, was finally getting that Final Fantasy VII trailer. It was so good. I had Final Fantasy VII when it came out on my PlayStation. I played through and beat that thing when I was younger, so it is a huge nostalgia trip for me. And if any of you have played it, you would know what I'm about to say here. So I can't wait to see if they keep the end of Disc 1 the same, and I want to see people's reaction to it fresh, like people who've never played through Final Fantasy VII. If they get to see that end of Disc 1, it'll be... it's going to be beautiful. It's like a whole new generation experiencing the same thing I experienced long ago, and I can't wait for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. In fact, they have mentioned in interviews that it's not going to be a PlayStation exclusive, so maybe we'll see it also on Xbox and on PC. Hopefully for PC, that would be great. It would make it easy to record, because we will be doing a series of it, because it is a massive RPG. We do RPGs here. It's what I like to do. Now, moving on to shooters, I would say Ubisoft has done a really good job of keeping the memory of Tom Clancy alive, the late, great Tom Clancy. He's responsible for a lot of really cool military worlds, and the way that Ubisoft has gone around creating these new worlds for us for the next gen is incredible. Like, Rainbow Six Siege looks really good. I have guaranteed beta access for it, and I can't wait for that game. I'm probably going to stream it a bunch. I might do a couple videos on it, depending. I do like my shooters too. Like, I'm a huge RPG guy, but I really do love shooters. So the combination of shooter and RPG is really good for The Division, and we finally got a beta date beginning of next year for that, and it will be coming out in March of next year. So I'm excited for The Division. It's a third-person shooter RPG set in a post-apocalyptic world in Tom Clancy's world. It's like the perfect combination for me. I can't wait. And then finally they announced the new Tom Clancy Wildlands, which it might be good. It's okay. I don't know. We'll see. It seems kind of cool. We'll see about that. But with moving on to kind of something that I missed over, I guess, when I was talking about the Bethesda stuff, is Dishonored 2. I really, really, really liked Dishonored. That was a game that I put a lot of time into when it came out. I've beaten it twice now, all the way through, completing everything. I really do like Dishonored. I think they made a really cool, unique world when they made that game, and that's why I'm so excited for the new IPs coming out, because like, if it's anything as good as Dishonored, I would be happy about it. Well, now they're coming out with Dishonored 2, where they have 2 playable characters. You can either play as Corvo from the first game, or Emily, which is the first girl from the girl from the first game. it just looks good. That trailer, I just want it. I don't care. Like, Dishonored 2 is going to be good if Arcane is working on it, which they are. But you know, all that said, I might do the same thing as I'm doing with Tomb Raider, where I play through the first Dishonored game, and then we get Dishonored 2. They haven't given us much information about it, so I got some time on that one. Maybe towards the end of the year, we'll start the Dishonored playthrough, and then get into Dishonored 2. It's those cool, like, RPG mechanics that I really like in that game. But the thing that totally took E3 for me and just put it on a whole different level, the people have been saying, like, this is the best E3 that has ever happened. And, you know, as we're sitting down and we're thinking over the week and, like, all of the cool stuff that was announced, and in fact all of the cool stuff that was released, even like the Fallout Shelter app on iOS and soon to be on Android, like, just all this really cool stuff, people are saying, like, this is definitely the best E3. And people are also realizing this might be the best game or year for gaming ever, because, like, 2004 was, like, the main one from back in the day. We had, like, Half-Life 2 and WoW, and, you know, those two games alone were huge games that totally redefined genres. But there's, you know, plenty of other games in there. We might get the same thing this year between, you know, like, Battlefront to SWTOR changing it up with MMOs, Fallout 4. It's just, like, a ton of really good stuff coming out this year that might make it a really good year in gaming. But the thing that won E3 for me was not even a game. It was just HoloLens. HoloLens was so impressive. VR is something that I am not into, but AR, augmented reality, is something that looks a little bit more appealing to me because it's more sellable, right? You can't, like, show somebody what VR is like over a video. You just can't do that. You have to put on the VR headset in order to really get sold on it. And I haven't had the chance to do that, so I'm not sold on VR. But I am sold on AR because you can actually show what that will be like, and their demo for it just killed it. It was so good. What I was saying on Twitter is, like, this is literally magic, right? This is, like, crazy how you guys have managed to do this kind of thing. And I'll make sure I'll put the link for that demo that they did on stage in the description below. And if you don't believe that that is real, that they were doing, just listen to the tons of people that did their actual, like, demos at E3 that were on the show floor and actually went and did it with the Halo experience and a ton of other stuff that they did. The general consensus coming out is actually that the image is super stable. It's not, like, all bouncing around and it doesn't freak out on you, but that the first iteration of this HoloLens has a narrow viewport on it that you can actually see the stuff through. But the HoloLens people, as they would say that it's going to get better. Don't you worry about that. As they iterate on it, it'll just look better and better and get a bigger viewport on it. But just generally, it's incredibly impressive tech, and it doesn't even have to be used for gaming. But I want to use it for gaming. But I think the HoloLens alone summarizes E3 for me. I think it's just magical. It was great. And I can't wait for the rest of this year. You know, SWTOR in general is, like, the first thing that's really hitting for me this year for games that I'm really excited for. And I can't wait to bring you guys more information on that as we get closer to its launch, of course. I will be checking it out. But with that being said, I hope you guys also enjoyed E3, because holy cow, did we get some good game announcements and game releases, and I can't wait for the next 2 years in gaming. It's going to be so good. But with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.